Am I the a-hole for not quitting my job over a colleague's crush? I, 32 female, live with my partner, 44 male, and work in research. My primary colleague, 30 male, and I have worked together for about 2 years on a major project involving significant intellectual and labor contributions from us both. The project is expected to span at least another 2 years and is vital to both of our careers. Not long ago, my colleague confessed to me that he is, and has been, infatuated or in love with me for pretty much the duration. It took place via a long email that was written after an evening of drinking. This was totally unexpected, but in retrospect there may have been some signs, but nothing that wouldn't just as easily be accounted for by a considerate personality. Shortly after this confession, I came to my husband with the issue. I wanted to get his advice about the situation, and showed him the drafts which I'd composed to organize my thoughts on the matter. They stated unequivocally that I'm not interested in a romantic relationship, and hope these feelings won't complicate our work together. I was again surprised at my husband's reaction. He seemed offended, to think I must have invited my colleague's affections, and that I should immediately quit my job, as in put in notice tomorrow. I was so taken aback that my immediate reaction was to laugh/snort at a suggestion, which was probably a mistake. That would be utterly disastrous for my career, and isn't an option I'm willing to consider. I'd greatly prefer the entire scenario had never happened, as a difficult and lengthy project hangs in the balance. But I have no real concern at this point about my colleague forcing the issue or letting it compromise our work. It seemed like an intoxicated getting my feelings off my chest. I'll need to put a lot of thought and caution into how I proceed with the work dynamic. But abandoning our project isn't even on the table. About a week has passed and my husband has been alternating between irate and a silent treatment, and suggested several times that I should move out of the house to be with my new spouse. Today I swung by the house on my lunch break, and found the locks changed and my luggage on the patio, and I have been blocked on his work number and cell. Obviously, he cannot possibly intend for me to really move out, and is just pulling what I absolutely believe to be an a-hole-ish power sulk. But seeing how seriously he's taking this has my doubts up. Maybe I was ultimately too uncompromising when I refused to even entertain quitting my job for the sake of conversation and his feelings, and to shut the idea down so abruptly. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the little updates. Not the a-hole. Your husband, on the other hand, he is totally the a-hole. He seemed offended to think I must have invited my colleague's affections and that I should immediately quit my job. Because obviously the only reason someone could possibly have a crush on you is because you have instigated it. Who's on the house? Can't just chuck your stuff out. That's a great conversation to have with a lawyer. House is actually in my name, inherited from my dad before I married. The luggage I packed contained only some random things, a couple of suits, miscellaneous items from my nightstand. This makes me believe he's just chucking an outsized tantrum instead of expecting me to actually vacate. But you've brought up some good points. I know it's hard to face, but I suspect he actually does, if he's gone to the lengths of changing the locks and packing up all your stuff. But if this is how he acts over you refusing to ruin your life over something so minor though, you're probably better off without him. If you do talk to him again, which you absolutely shouldn't unless it's with police present or through a lawyer, do not leave your job for him, no matter what he says. Almost every abusive relationship starts with a man convincing the woman to leave her job. My horrible ex tried it, and thank God I didn't because it was my lifeline, and this behavior has mistreatment written all over it. Find a place to stay that he can't possibly know about and get a lawyer. Change any passwords he would know, especially anything tied to money or credit. Check with a lawyer before doing this with joint accounts though. Keep a charged cell phone on you at all times. Make sure a trustworthy person knows where you are, and consider getting some kind of self-defense tool. He may go insane when he realizes you're actually leaving and not begging for him back. Not the a-hole, obviously. He's actually in for a rude awakening if he tries to kick her out. His name is not on the house. It's her house she inherited. He has no stake to it and legally can't evict her. She can evict him though. He's throwing a tantrum because a coworker has a crush that clearly is not returned at all. And a good husband would never ever demand his partner to risk their entire career over this. I'm sure Opie knows how to handle her workplace stuff, so he needs to cool it. Though Opie, I agree with this. You need a lawyer, and to take some self-defense classes. Not just because you're a tantruming husband, it's a good idea to have the courses anyways. just in case the crush goes sideways, etc. Please be careful. Also, OP, not today haul. Your husband needs help desperately though. He is showing signs of abusive behavior. And now for the updates. Hubby called me. Long story short, he's been extremely anxious each day when I leave for work, and buckled from that pressure today. I'm welcome back home once I've quit my job, which is obviously still unacceptable. I am considering taking a week of accrued paid leave, which will hopefully result in an adult conversation with husband, as well as coming to a decision about how to best handle colleague. That failing, I'm hearing the word lawyer loud and clear throughout these comments. I'm grateful for all of the support and perspective. Update 2. I ended up calling my sister 38 female, something I avoided initially because I didn't want to stir the pot by involving family members who are already disliked by husband. I'm currently with her and cousin 35 male, who are both supportive. Our plan is to call a locksmith tomorrow to regain access to the property. Husband can ruminate with friends or at a hotel for the present, and for cousin to collect some important things of mine from the house, and for me to stay with my sister for a few days while I take a hard look at my situation and options. I'm not set on divorce at this point, but I definitely need to reassert some very basic boundaries before exploring further discussions with my husband. Thank you strangers on Reddit for helping me emerge from the emotional haze with some clarity. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for making my husband miss seeing his mom for the first time in over a year on her birthday? Last night was my 21 mother-in-law's birthday. She is 65 and healthy, but my husband 23 hasn't seen her since the beginning of the pandemic. This is important to know. I'm 34 weeks pregnant and also healthy. But last night, I was feeling particularly emotional and physically in pain from working. I'm working from home until my due date, but my boss made me go in to make copies, and that turned into a half-day event. By the time I got home, I was exhausted and in need of a massage. My husband was on his way out of his mom's dinner, and he was expecting me to meet him there. He was disappointed when I told him I wasn't going to go, but he understood. However, when I asked him to stay back for half an hour to give me a massage, he got upset that I'd make him late, and in turn piss off his mom on the day seeing her again for the first time since pre-pandemic. So I suggested I get a massage from our mutual friend, my best friend's boyfriend, who is a massage therapist in training. But there's a tiny bit of history between us, so my husband didn't like that either. So to quicken the recount, we argued. He ended up being late. And after his mom called and he blamed me for his being late, which resulted in me getting lectured by his mom, I told him to stay home and take care of me, or he'd have to start paying his own phone bill. I pay his. He did it, but then slept on the couch that night. Didn't speak to me at all today. And tonight when I returned from making more copies at the office, he'd claimed the bedroom, leaving my stuff for sleeping on the couch. About an hour before writing this, my sister-in-law, 30s, called and yelled at me for not letting my husband go to the dinner. He'll be able to see his family, including his mom, whenever now that she's vaccinated, but he missed out on the family reunion experience of the dinner. But I literally just needed some TLC. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments before the little update. You're the a-hole. There's a time and a place for needy behavior. That time ain't it. Why couldn't the massage wait till later? You also blackmailed him into staying home, not to mention the weird threat to invite the next over. You're the a-hole. No one's mentioning the whole guy who she has a tiny bit of history with thing, which is such a weird manipulative card to play. You're the a-hole. Time to grow up before your baby comes. You're acting manipulative, immature, and honestly are toxic as hell. Seriously. You said you'd get a massage from a guy you have history with? What? You made your husband stay home to take care of you and threatened to not do something for him if he didn't? You are legit toxic, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does leave you behind after that psycho bullcrap. I'm fairly certain that this is the first Reddit post that has actually gotten under my skin. I don't think I'll be able to add anything new to the conversation here, but I'll give my 2 cents. First, you obviously think you're hot shot if you think that you have the power to threaten a grown man by not paying the phone bill. Providing phone service is a responsibility given to you in this relationship, and you don't get to just shrug your responsibilities because you don't get a damn massage. It's a stupid threat anyway. The man can go and get his own phone if he wanted to. It seems he comes from a family with a backbone. Second, get the hell out of here with this inviting your ex over to give you a massage. Pregnant or not, the man is right to have to put her ass on the couch. That is one of the most disrespectful, immature things I heard in a while. I hope you take a good long time to flip the roles and put yourself in his shoes on that one. Third, I understand in sickness and in health, but he's not your nanny. If you're all tense, take an Epsom salt bath or something. It's fine if you're tired and want to stay behind. His mommy has been there and I'm sure would understand. Let him go eat dinner with a woman who chose to make her life about him. Good on her and her daughter for calling you out on this. You're the a-hole. I wouldn't be able to talk to you for at least a week. And now for the little update. Info. I don't know if it matters, but the history I'm referring to with my friend's boyfriend is a one-sided crush on his side. He confessed his like for me a couple years ago, and my husband hasn't gotten over it. So it's very obvious I'm the a-hole. I mentioned my friend's boyfriend because I'd mentioned the idea before during a regular conversation, and he didn't take a pause. This is a friend that's around often, so there's comfort between all of us. But I understand that it struck a nerve for him. I also understand that my being pregnant doesn't give me the right to manipulate or financially abuse him. I could have and should have waited. I just got off the phone with my mother-in-law and I apologized, which she accepted. My husband did tell her that I threatened his phone, but I told her. That earned me a lecture, but I took it. I also called my sister-in-law, but she didn't answer, so I left a voicemail asking her to call back. My husband left this morning to go pick up our crib from a friend, and he asked me not to come with him, even though I was supposed to. So when he gets back, I will apologize for my abusive behavior. I knew that was being harsh, but I thought it was warranted. And now I see that it was just abusive. I don't intend to be, as I really do love my husband. I'll do better. Someone in the comments suggested planning another dinner, so I'll talk to him about that too. Final edit. I'm seeing a lot of criticism towards my mother-in-law and sister-in-law for lecturing me. In their defense, I've known them since I was a child. My husband and I were best friends before spouses, and we spent a lot of time together. So my sister-in-law sees me as more than a sister by law, and same with mother-in-law. Some of this was happening before my relationship, but it's mostly always been acceptable. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not having sympathy for my fiancé? My fiancé sprained his ankle rather badly at work about a week and a half ago. He has been told to use the RICE method: rest, ice, compress, and elevate. He refuses to do this, or do anything to help his ankle heal. Instead, he insists on putting full weight on it, doing nothing to stabilize it, and having this attitude of, I don't need to do all that, it won't help me anyway. My fiancé is now groaning with pain, and very noticeably limping with every step and can barely go up and down the stairs. He's complaining how much pain he's in, and how nothing has ever hurt this badly, and is looking to me to feel sorry for him and treat him extra special. That's not me. I don't pamper or baby adults, but when I've tried to get him to let me actually help him take care of his injured ankle, it's been rejected. I got fed up and told him I have zero sympathy for him because he won't help himself, and he won't allow me to help him. And he knows he's just making it worse. So stop looking to me for special treatment because it's not happening. Am I the a-hole? Edit. He also refuses to use any mobility aids like crutches or a cane, which would be helpful. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. He did this to himself. If he refuses treatment, he is going to have to suffer the consequences. My sympathies to you, Opie, that you are dealing with such behavior. You're going to marry this dude? Should you have children, get excited for him to tell them to man up when they've got croup or rear infections. That following doctor's advice is for losers. Not the a-hole. Good luck to you though. Not the a-hole. And in a way, this is a gift to you because this is very useful information to have about his behavior before you're legally tied to each other. He sounds like one of those men that thinks acting strong beats any sickness, trying to be a hero in his head for powering through. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay the internet bill because he went and blew a bunch of money? My fiancé is absolutely terrible with money when he gets depressed. He splurges whenever he hits a rough patch. He has never put us in the hole, but he still buys stupid stuffs and almost never gets used, or used once and tossed to the side. He also has a habit of buying drinks and snacks every time he goes to the store, even if he had just eaten. We have easily over $200 in gas station purchases a month. If he's not spending money, he's not happy, basically. We both work full-time at really good paying jobs. However, we have been saving for nearly a year and a half for a 20% down payment on a home loan. Despite us both putting money towards the savings in every paycheck, we don't have much. Maybe $2,500. Why? Because he is on a depressive spell. It has been for like 4 months. Therefore, he's only been putting like maybe $10 out of his paycheck into the savings to my $100 to $150. I don't use the internet. I don't watch TV. I don't play games. I don't use it for literally anything. Despite this, usually I'm the one who pays the bill. We split bills. It runs $90 a month for basic. 3 days ago, I come home to find a brand new toolbox and a bunch of tools. This man is not handy. I have never seen him even touch a hammer. This toolbox and tools run about $350. I was pissed. Didn't pay the internet, now it's turned off. When he asked why the internet was shut off, I made it quite clear that if he wasn't buying stupid stuffs that he will never use, then the internet would be on because we would have the money. I wasn't about to leave myself with $40 for the next week just to pay the bill because he decided to splurge. He tried arguing that those things are stuff that we should have in case of emergencies. I won't budge, and he doesn't have the money to pay the bill either. So now he can't play his video games to decompress. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. He refuses therapy. He gets depressed easily once a year for months at a time. Not the a-hole, obviously. You have a much bigger problem than an unpaid internet bill. You don't say when your wedding is, but I promise you these problems will get worse after marriage. You say you split the bills, yet it seems you are picking up a huge amount of financial slack. He has serious emotional problems that he refuses to get help for. You weren't taking care of this man financially and emotionally. Please don't marry him before these issues are resolved. It is the refusal to seek treatment for the depressive episodes that is truly alarming. They are only going to get worse with age. Treatment should be a precondition for the relationship continuing. Not today, home. Don't marry someone who you don't trust to share financial responsibility with. I'm curious. How did he save up the money to buy you a ring to propose with? He wasn't depressed at that point in his life. That was 2 years ago before we started saving for a home loan. It's a very simple ring. I think it only cost like $300.
My mom apologized for choosing the wrong kid. I haven't stopped crying since. I'm 27 now. My younger brother was always the golden child. I don't mean that lightly. My mom treated him like he could do no wrong. She paid his rent when he didn't have a job, helped him out of trouble when he got DUIs, and even once lied to the police to protect him. No matter what he did, she stood by him. Meanwhile, I was the good kid. I got straight A's, worked 2 jobs through school, stayed out of trouble, but it never seemed to matter. She still asked me, over and over, why can't you be more like him? We haven't spoken in almost 3 years. The last time we did, it ended in a fight. She said I was tearing the family apart. Why? Because I wouldn't co-sign a loan for my brother. I had already made that mistake once. He destroyed my credit when I was younger, and I had to fight tooth and nail to get it back. I told her I was done, and I meant it. Then, last week, out of nowhere, I got a voicemail from her. The second I heard her voice say my name, I knew something was different. Her voice cracked. She sounded tired, broken. She said, "I think I picked the wrong kid to believe in. I'm so sorry." Turns out my brother scammed her. He took everything, wiped out the rest of her retirement, drained all her savings. Her house is now in foreclosure, and he vanished. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. And now she's left with nothing. I thought maybe I'd feel better hearing that, like it would prove I was right all along. But I don't feel better. I feel hollow. I feel like the same little kid I used to be, the one who only ever wanted his mom to see him, to really see him, to say, "You did good, you matter." And now, after everything has fallen apart, she finally said it, but only because there's no one else left. I don't know if I'll call her back. I don't know if I can. Too many years of being second, of being invisible. I keep thinking maybe I should, that maybe it's the right thing. But every time I try to pick up the phone, I freeze. I haven't stopped crying since I heard that voicemail. Now for the top advice. First of all, your mom's actions are a reflection of her, not you. Secondly, your mom shouldn't have picked a kid in the first place. You believe in and love and support all your kids, period. Finally, please see a therapist and get some help processing your trauma, and this is very traumatic. Yeah, WTF. A parent that chooses a kid over another deserves nothing more than to die alone. I have no idea why parents would not treat all their kids equally. Like, where is the empathy and compassion? The mom definitely is the a-hole, and I would not be the one bailing her out. Once the other kid comes back again, it'll all just be for nothing. Why was believing in both her children not a choice? I feel like she doesn't understand how being a mom works. I have an aunt who is like this. She barely talks to the son who has held a job for 20 years, has a wife and 2 teenage kids with her. But she always goes on and on about the son who has messed up anyone's life he has even been involved in. At some point, she had to sell her apartment and start renting because of him, and it was the good son who helped her move. The 2 sons do not talk to each other. I kind of think the ignored son got the better end of the deal, ironically. Maybe being given every chance and not disciplined or held accountable for anything ruined the golden child. The black sheep almost always ends up better off. Literal black sheep adopted by a white family. I'm objectively better off than all the cousins, yet I'm the one that still gets criticized for happily existing. Meanwhile, my cousins can't keep a job and are on their 4th or 5th marriages. But they go to church, so it's fine. Next story. My aunt is pretending my trip was hers, and it's honestly heartbreaking. A little while ago, I went on a trip to England, where I spent a week in London and the rest of the days in different small towns. It was my first international trip, something that moved me deeply, something I had saved up for, worked hard and planned over months with so much excitement. For me, it was a truly special, very emotional trip, because I visited places I had always dreamed of, and lived very intimate moments that I now hold close to my heart. Since I'm close to my family, and pretty much everyone shares stuff when they travel, I was sending photos and videos to our family chat group throughout the trip. Everything was fine, until I started noticing something weird after I got back. One of my aunts, the typical one who's basically the Karen of the family, started uploading several of my videos and pictures to her social media. But not like, look at this lovely trip my niece had. No, she literally posts them as if she went. She adds captions to her reels and TikToks like, "This is what I work for, me after blowing $6,000 on a trip." With background music like trap, or those flashy songs that scream, "Look how rich I am." And the worst part? She puts those titles on videos like one of me walking up the stairs at Tower Bridge, or clips of cafes, views, and iconic places I filmed. She even changed her social media profile picture multiple times to photos I took of places like Big Ben, Notting Hill, etc. At first I laughed a lot, but then it started feeling weird. Like she was stealing a piece of my experience, stripping it of the emotional value it had for me, and turning it into some superficial flex trip. Something I lived with all my heart, and now she's wrapping it up in flashy music and money quotes, as if she were some rich sugar mommy jetting around the world, even posting pictures of my plane tickets. The leftover pounds I brought back from the trip, or old videos of herself in airports, with her passport, luggage, or planes from past trips. What makes it worse is that now she's even telling other relatives or people at her job that she went in December and is just now posting the photos and videos. She's even trying to invent a whole fake storyline for her trip. It already seemed suspicious to me last November when my mother-in-law traveled to London and sent me a beautiful photo of Big Ben, which I shared in the family group. My aunt took that photo and used it as her profile picture till now. But now that I actually went, it's like I gave her all the content she needed to fully feed her fantasy. I honestly don't know whether to laugh, cry, confront her, send her to a psychiatrist, or just ignore her and rant on Reddit. It makes me feel so uncomfortable, like she's invalidating something that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me. Has anyone else gone through something like this with a family member? Am I overreacting? Or did she really cross a line? What is the rest of your family saying about this? Have you talked to your mom or dad, or whichever is her sibling about it? You said you're close with your family. Is talking to her about her behavior and mental health something they can help you with? This is exactly my question. Do they all let her get away with this type of stuff constantly to keep the peace? She sounds very mentally unwell and seriously needs help. Yeah, since she's known for making dramas and throwing tantrums, usually they let her get her way, and no one says nothing to her just to avoid it all. Usually while growing up, I would be the one standing up to her, but it only got me into trouble with the rest of my family, and was exhausting since there's no change, and it's a lot of BS. So I learned to just look away and stuck to my own thing. My narc mom has done this to me a lot. Anytime as a young girl or teenager a boy I was seeing would give me flowers, she would take pictures and upload them on Facebook with weird captions like, "What good girlfriends get," and would thank anyone congratulating her or telling her how pretty the flowers were, trying to make it look like it was her receiving flowers. She did it with gifts I received as well. When I got older and moved out, she got really bad at wanting to look like she was a busy, big shot on social media and would make statuses pretending she was at the beach, taking trips on dates, etc., while she was really sitting in her recliner alone at home. It's sad. She has a lot of mental issues and she lives a very lonely life, so I guess it was her way of coping. Next story. My mom attended my abuser's wedding. She even helped plan it. I want to get something off my chest that I've never really said out loud. I don't consider my mother anymore. After I divorced my ex-husband, I told her everything. How he cheated on me, how he emotionally abused me throughout the marriage, how I left that relationship completely broken. He manipulated me, made me feel like I was worthless, and convinced me that I didn't deserve anything better. I struggled mentally for a long time, and I was vulnerable when I finally opened up to her. But instead of supporting me, she was cold and distant. She never asked how I was coping. She never said she was sorry that I went through that. Her response was detached, like what I told her didn't matter at all. Before I got married, I used to send her money regularly. She hasn't worked in years, and her current husband is jobless too. Most of her financial support comes from her children, and that's what I eventually felt like to her. Not a daughter, not someone she loved, just another source of income. When I stopped financially supporting her, the emotional distance only grew. And then I found out something that still haunts me. Not only did she stay in touch with my ex-husband after the divorce, but she helped him find his new wife. She encouraged it. She played matchmaker. And when he got married, she attended the wedding like she was proud of him. She showed up to celebrate the man who made her daughter feel worthless, the same man who destroyed me mentally. She knew everything he did to me, and she still chose him. Since then, I've emotionally detached from her completely. I don't call her, I don't reach out, and I no longer refer to her as my mom. Because in my eyes, a mother doesn't betray her daughter like that. A mother doesn't enable the man who abused her child. A mother doesn't smile at the wedding of the person who caused that much pain. Today I'm sick with the flu. My sister called to check in on me, and in the background I heard her, my mother's voice telling my sister to remind me to drink coconut water. And it made my skin crawl. Blah. It felt so fake, so performative, so disgustingly hollow. She thinks she can still act like she cares, but after everything, that kind of love disgusts me. It's too late, and it's meaningless. She made her choice, and I'll never forget it. Now for the comments. I've read some stuff on Reddit, but that one is just unbelievable, even though I know that it's true. I take my hat off to you for removing yourself from her pernicious energy. What a betrayal. What a bee. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much. It really helps to feel understood. Walking away wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I'm doing my best to heal now. So, your sister has maintained a relationship with your egg donor after everything? I'm sorry she doesn't have your back. Yeah, I'm not close with my sisters. They only started reaching out again after our brother passed. Maybe that was their wake-up call to treat me better. They've always known about my strained relationship with our mom, but for some reason, they still act like everything's normal. I honestly don't understand the tone deafness either. Your second and third paragraphs totally describe my ex-husband and my mother, but then I caught them dating. So at least your mom didn't do that. Wait, what? Damn, and here I thought my situation was bad. You unlocked a whole new level of betrayal. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. If there were awards for toxic family dynamics, our moms would be neck and neck. Sending you strength. Last story. I took the DNA test, and I regret it. My world has crumbled into pieces, and it's my own fault. My father died around 10 years ago of cancer. I never looked like him. In fact, if you had asked me whether we had anything in common, it would only be that we were one another's favorite human beings, and that our combined stubbornness could move mountains. But it bothered me. The fact that I would look into the mirror and go searching for his face in my features and found nothing. Anyway, recently I was talked into getting a DNA test. I decidedly do not look white, unlike both of my parents, but just enough like my mother, that there was always the benefit of the doubt on whether anything was different about me. So I thought maybe getting it checked out would reveal something up higher in my ancestry. I'm very much my mom's twin in all the ways I wasn't my dad's. In temper and looks, we are very much alike. I was just more tanned. At least that's what I thought. But the DNA test I took revealed very clearly that I am indeed mixed. So, I called my stepdad, whom I love and who I'm glad my mom found after my dad passed. I was heated and angry, thinking I must be the product of an affair, but didn't want to confront my mother directly before I knew more information. That's when he told me that he once asked my mother about why I looked the way I did, and she told him she never checked, but that she thinks she once was drugged at a party in the place that I now know I am 50% from. My mother was assaulted and kept the baby because it fell into the time in which she was trying with my father to conceive. From what my stepdad told me, she holds on to the idea that I am my dad's. The fact that she never tried to find out clearly speaks to the trauma. I am sickened. I've not only lost my only connection to my dad, who people always said I wasn't like, now I know a horrible thing about my mother, and I burdened my stepfather with a secret that no one wants to keep from their partner. While I'm not suicidal, I wish I wasn't born. I wish my mom could have had a child she wanted. I wish my dad didn't have to raise a lie like me. All because I couldn't handle the comments I grew up with. All because I needed to know. I'm so ashamed. I should have known better. Your dad was glad you were there. He almost certainly knew or suspected and didn't let it change how he felt about you. And that was more than enough for him. The trauma your mom has dealt with is not your fault, and it doesn't sound like she took it out on you either. Your feelings are obviously valid, but try to remember that your dad loved you. Thank you. My mom and I do have a very complicated relationship, and there was a time after my dad passed where we floated giving me up to live in assisted living. But we persevered. I think some of her anger at me might genuinely stem from this, though I was also a horrible teenager after my dad passed. I didn't really know what to do with all the emotions I felt, but I certainly don't want to burden her more. I love her so much. I would never wish to hurt her. It just sucks that that means I can never have a conversation about this with her. But thank you for your words. I should remember this. Your dad was your dad. Nothing can break that connection. Try to separate the DNA from reality. He loved you, nurtured you, and taught you how to use a fork for crying out loud. If your mom won't face her own trauma with therapy, then you should definitely. Sounds like your stepdad is pretty awesome too. Sounds like you're in good hands. Now get your head straight. The tough love is appreciated. You are not wrong at all. It's just difficult to keep that focus right now, but that's why I'm very happy I posted here and me receiving it externally. Head in the game. Get my medical and mental aid. Focus on those around me that can help. Of course, it's definitely not one of those life things I wish anyone has to find out or go through. My uncle was a drunk mess, which is how I found out. And my aunt next to him turned so red. The whole family jumped down his throat because at the end of the day, it happened. There was nothing anyone could do about that, and him opening up something that they never wanted to be made my issue made them floored. We are innocent circumstances that still require love, my grandma would say before she'd passed. That's a beautiful saying by your grandmother. I will keep it in mind and in my heart. Am I the a-hole for leaving a family dinner after my dad's toast? About a year and a half ago, I had a miscarriage. It was one of the most painful things I've ever gone through, and it broke me in ways I didn't see coming. I've been trying to heal ever since. I don't bring it up constantly or make it the focus of conversations, but my close family knows how deeply it affected me. They saw me struggle. They know I lost something that meant the world to me. Last night, we had a big family dinner. It wasn't just my immediate family, extended relatives, some family friends, just a casual get-together to celebrate my sister's pregnancy. It was meant to be a happy evening, and I was genuinely trying to be there and show my support. Then came the toast. My dad stood up, raised his glass, and said, "Here's to a smooth pregnancy and finally getting a grandchild we can hold." Everyone around the table laughed, clapped, and cheered. My sister smiled wide, but I just sat there, completely stunned. I felt my stomach drop and my heart sink. It was like someone had knocked the wind out of me. I didn't want to cry in front of everyone or make a big deal, so I quietly stood up and said I needed to use the restroom. But instead of going to the bathroom, I walked out of the house, got in my car, and drove home. I just couldn't stay. I couldn't sit there and pretend that comment didn't hurt. Since then, the messages haven't stopped. People are saying I made things weird, that I overreacted, that I should have just let it go and kept the peace for one night. My mom even told me I was making it about me, again. And now I can't stop thinking about it. I keep replaying the moment over and over in my head. Was it really that bad? Was I being too sensitive? Did I take it the wrong way? Maybe it really was just a harmless comment, and I made it into something bigger than it was. I honestly didn't mean to take away from my sister's moment. I didn't want the focus to be on me. I couldn't sit there and act like I was okay when I wasn't. But maybe I should have kept quiet? Maybe I really did ruin the evening. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Finally a grandchild we can hold? Dude. Yeah, that was just straight up cruel. And you know the worst part? Everyone laughed. I was too stunned to react. That hurt, not gonna lie. Not the a-hole. Your father's a moron. Your dad made it awkward. Who says something like that at a dinner with guests, no less? It's okay to be hurt when someone says something so emotionally thoughtless. You weren't upset about your sister's happiness. You were celebrating her. Your idiot father made it about you when he said that. Don't let others minimize your hurt. Their father didn't gut punch them in front of family. Tell your dad that even if he didn't mean it the way it came out, it was still an ignorant thing to say. I'm sorry for your loss. I hope your future is filled with happier memories. Thanks for the kind words. It really helps to hear someone else validate how I felt. I definitely wasn't upset about my sister's happiness, but that comment just hit me out of nowhere. I'll try to talk to my dad, but it's hard to know what to say without making things worse. Honey, there's no way you could say anything to make it worse. Your dad was actually making it about himself when he made that toast. He's the one who made things weird. Ask him to tell you why he felt it was okay to say that. He could have stopped at the first part of the toast and left things at that. But he's an idiot. I'm sorry about that. They're giving you a hard time and doubling down because they feel bad about their own reactions. It's easier to blame someone else as being the problem instead of taking responsibility for their crappiness. Don't back down. You did nothing wrong. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my pregnant wife to just hire help and missing the birthday dinner she and the kids planned? I am 37 years old, have a high-paying job where I make around $750,000 a year. It's a demanding job that eats up a lot of my time and energy. I'm usually working long hours and often get home late. My wife, 31 female, is currently 7 months pregnant. And we already have 2 young kids. One is 6 and the other is 3, so there's already a lot going on at home. Lately, my wife has been telling me that she's really tired and overwhelmed. She's been handling pretty much everything at home by herself, taking care of the kids full-time, keeping the house in order and doing all the little things, like getting my clothes ready for work and staying on top of all the household responsibilities. On top of that, she's pregnant and still pushing through every day. She's told me more than once that she needs me to be around more. She's not asking for anything extravagant, she just wants me to be present. I suggested that since we can easily afford it, we could hire some help. Maybe a cleaner, or even a part-time nanny to ease the load. I figured that would help her catch a break and reduce the stress she's feeling. But she didn't take it well. She told me that she doesn't want hired help. She just wants me to be there more, to be present with the family, help with the kids, spend more time at home. She said what she needs isn't more help from strangers, but more support from her partner. Then came my birthday last week. My wife and the kids planned a simple dinner at home to celebrate. The kids were really excited about it. They helped her bake a cake, made decorations, and had everything ready for when I got home. But work ran late, and I didn't make it back until after 10 p.m. By then, the kids had already gone to bed. The food was cold, and my wife just sat there, quiet and disappointed, and said that they waited for you. I felt awful. I could see how much effort they had put into it, especially the kids. But in my mind, I honestly thought it wouldn't be a big deal. We could just celebrate another day when I had more time. I'm working hard because I want to give them a good life, with financial stability and opportunities I never had growing up. I thought that providing for them was what mattered most. But now her sister and even my own mom have been telling me that I'm neglecting my family and that I need to start figuring things out before it gets worse. They think I'm missing what's really important. So, am I the a-hole for suggesting we just hire help and for missing the birthday dinner my wife and kids planned? Your payments are going to be child support if you keep up this attitude, OP. You're the a-hole. I've known plenty of people who think like this, and they're always so surprised when the family falls apart, and neither spouse or children want anything to do with them. It's like no one has ever watched movies from the early to mid-2000s. I feel like every other movie back then was about a dad who started out too obsessed with his job, and by the end of the movie learned that real happiness was in being present for his family. Read your own post again. Your wife does all the child care and household work. You are hardly home to even engage with your kids ever. Do you know their favorite color? Do you know what they like to wear? Do you know their favorite foods? Do you know their favorite activities? Do you ever help at home? Do you know what bedtime stories they love? Do you know how to comfort them if they have a nightmare? If you can't answer these questions, then consider if you are being a father. Emphasis on that, because if you know nothing about your own kids, what are you even doing? Or a partner to your wife, because you just aren't there or present to help or engage with their everyday life. You're gone. You're an absent father. Yeah, I know my kids. I do spend time with them. I'm not busy all the time, but there are times when I'm going to be busy. I feel like it was an unrealistic expectation to expect a parent to be around 24/7. Yeah, you're the a-hole. Your kids won't remember the money you brought home. They will remember you never being there. I'm simply gobsmacked that OP talked about the sweet gesture and excitement of his kids wanting to make him feel special on his birthday and blew it off because they could do something another time. He couldn't even be bothered to be present for one damn day. It makes me wonder if there is someone at work who is more important to him than his wife and kids. What a completely selfish person. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling a pregnant woman I'd call the cops on her? I, 18 female, am currently living alone, as my mother, 45 female, and brother, 25 male, both left for work for a few months. The driveway to my house is now empty as my brother took the car, and I don't have a permit, so I don't own one. Over the course of 2 months, I counted 7 people just parking here. Not a word. They'd leave their car as if they own the place and leave for hours at a time. I have now installed a chain that blocks the entrance. They would have to take it off if they wanted to park here. Today, shall I say regular, wanted to pull up but couldn't. She knocked on my door and demanded, not even asked, just straight up demanded, that I take it off, because she has no way of parking. She was pregnant, my guess somewhere 7th to 8th month. I told her I'm not going to do that because I am not comfortable with random people parking before my house, especially since I have to leave through that door to go to the backyard with my rescue dogs, who are afraid of strangers and will attack if they see one on our property. I explained that this is not a public parking space but my house's. She scoffed and said she's aware. But I haven't been using it either way, so what's the big deal? I got annoyed and told her I'm just not comfortable with it and can't even take my dogs out peacefully because of people like her. Mind you, there is a parking lot 5 minutes away on foot. I reminded her of that and she gave me the nastiest look and complained that she'd have to pay, and she's unable to because she's counting every euro to give her child a good life. I told her that's none of my problem and that she's welcome to ask my neighbors if any of them would be willing to let her park there for a few hours. But if she wouldn't leave me alone or if she took the chain off herself and parked here, I'd call the cops on her. She started crying, calling me heartless and an a-hole, saying I don't care about her baby's future and just want her to waste her money when she could just use my parking space. I admitted that I do not care because neither her car nor her child is my problem and went back inside. I may have been a bit harsh to her, especially given she's pregnant, but I feel like she had it coming. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Time for some signs. No trespassing. Private property. Trespassers will be towed. I'll have to look into it. I'm not sure where I could buy signs in my city. Might need to order them online. Piece of wood and paint, and if your penmanship isn't good, print out a stencil, a paper with what you want written, and use an X-Acto knife to have and cut it out. Buying online may be easier and more professional-like. I think the handwritten ones are a bit more effective though, as they look like the owner is slightly unhinged, especially if you write it in red paint. Not the a-hole. Her laziness is not a reason to risk your property and insurance. Also, check your city/county/state rules about a property owner having a car towed at car owner's expense, so you'll know what to do if it happens again. You might need to call police, or you might be able to call a tow company. I'll look into it. I'm just not sure if I'll be able to do anything, considering the house is in my mom's name and she's away. If one of them, pregnant lady for instance, parks in your drive and you allow it, then falls or some other calamity befalls them, your mom could lose her house and you'd be out of a place to live. If it's the dog that bites them, it will be put down. Not worth it to be nice. Last story. Would I be the a-hole if I tell my niece the truth about why she can't go on vacation with me? Every 2 to 3 years since 2016, I, 39 female, have taken my sister, 42, and her kids, 14 and 17 females and 22 male, on vacation to Universal Studios, Florida. My nephew is on the spectrum and has a number of different issues, including ADHD, which he's on meds for. This is relevant later. Around the time that we started going on these family vacations, which I've paid for, my sister graduated with her BA in social work. Since graduating, her personality started to change and people, friends and fam, started noticing, but no one ever said anything. It was just weird. Over the last 2 years or so, she's made new friends around her age that she's grown very close to. During this same time, her behavior has gotten progressively worse, to the point where she thinks she's always right and won't listen to reason or logic. She also says that her new friends are more her family over her own siblings and mother. My sister is my father's golden child, so she can do no wrong in his eyes. I don't think her friends like me very much, but I couldn't care less about them. It's important to note here, per the timeline, that my nephew wanted to decrease his medication doses and was able to do so with his doctor's approval. He tried to throw them away, but I had suggested that he walk them down to the local pharmacy and dispose of them in their medication disposal bin. He asked me to do it, and without thinking, I agreed. I seriously thought nothing of it and didn't realize it would come back to bite me. Back to my sister. Things got really bad between us in March. She said she needed to talk to me, but wouldn't say about what, and I had no idea. She came to my house and accused me of stealing my nephew's meds. I laughed and told her she was crazy. Her logic was that I lost too much weight. I was almost 300 pounds, and I lost 90 pounds over the last 2 years with diet and exercise. Literally kept a food diary and recorded my workouts. I tried to reason with her and explain that the weight loss was happening over a period of time, way before my nephew started to decrease his dosages. But she wasn't having any of it and said she's not freaking retarded. She then started making demands. demanded that I hand the medication over and open a little tiny money safe that I have. She also started name-calling and proceeded to go through my personal belongings. She then asked me where my other safe was, and this confused me because I don't own another safe. I told her to leave or I was calling the cops, which I did a minute later. Cops told her to leave and I was left in disbelief. She is now trying to turn her kids against me. Her 17-year-old did believe the lies being spread, but claimed she came to her senses and her mom was wrong to do what she did. She will be 18 by the time we go in December, but I suspect my younger niece will not be allowed to go. My sister was very adamant that she doesn't want anyone, including the 14-year-old, to know what happened. I tried to text my sister to ask, but she said she needs to talk to me. I refused to speak to anyone who believes I took my nephew's meds. I think I touched on the relevant points, but I'm happy to provide more info if necessary. Would I be the a-hole if I was honest with my niece when she asks why she can't go to Universal? Why was she freaking the heck out about the meds? Was she also taking them? Her reaction was way too over the top for this situation. My sister was very adamant that she doesn't want anyone, including the 14-year-old, to know what happened. Do you mean that your sister doesn't want anyone to know about her freakout, even though she was spreading lies about you? Something there doesn't make sense. I agree. Her reaction was way over the top. Yes, she texted me later that day, saying she didn't want anyone in the family knowing about what she did, especially her daughter. I did not respond. I don't know, man. Sounds like she was taking his meds. If she doesn't let her youngest go, I would talk to her privately first about the whole situation and come from a place of concern. I think you have a right and duty to yourself to tell your niece the truth and attempt to clear your name. Where was your nephew in all this? Did he speak up? He did. He tried to defend me, and she told him he was a freaking retard if he didn't see it. He's been really upset because he feels like he has to choose between his mother and myself. I assured him I wasn't mad at him, as I have no reason to be. I think his mother said something, but I can't prove it. Why would you take any of them anywhere? Stay away from her. You literally had to call the police on her and now you're going to take her and her children on vacation? Step back, OP. She's not safe to be around. What if she accuses you of something worse? You don't need to waste your time and money on this. How can you trust her? Oh, no. My sister is never invited to go anywhere with me ever again. But I would still like to take my nieces and nephew.